Hello lovely, welcome back to another video. In this video I'm going to be running you through a few things that we have been doing to prepare our toddler for the arrival of our second baby. So there's going to be about a 20-month age gap between the girls, and obviously our toddler doesn't understand the concept of being pregnant, of a baby coming into the house, but we are still trying to do certain things so that she can kind of connect the dots, I guess, once the baby arrives. So I'll run you through those things now. I just want to add at this point as well that obviously this is not professional advice. This is just parent-to-parent advice, things that we've been recommended or things that we've seen online and thought, actually, that looks really good and we're going to try that out. So we'll run through those things now. So the first thing that we did when we found out that we were pregnant is we bought some books. So our daughter, Juno, absolutely loves reading. She loves books. We read a few books to her every night before bed, and she regularly picks up books during the day as well and just kind of flicks through them herself, or we read during the day. So we thought a really good way for her to kind of familiarize herself with the idea of a new baby would be through books. So we got 4 books. We've kind of collected these along the way. We've been lent one, we bought one, and then we picked a couple up from like a book swap kind of situation. So the first one that we bought was Miffy and the New Baby. We went for this one purely because she has Miffy the artist and she loves the Miffy books and she really likes Miffy in general. So we thought this would be one that was probably going to be at the top of her list and quite engaging. It's really good, really like it, really recommend. It's really sweet. It's about sort of like, obviously, a new baby coming into the family. Next up, we have Where Do Babies Come From? This is a lot more kind of factual and less of a story. So it's a lift the flap first questions and answers book. I'll run you through a couple of them now so you've got an idea. So it's literally like, where do babies come from? So it's like, what's inside your tummy? And then you lift the flap. A little brother or sister for you. So it's just kind of giving them the exact answers. And then it also, which I love about this book, shows you where other babies come from. So here there is a bird and it says, what am I sitting on? And it said, eggs. I'm keeping them warm so my little chicks inside can grow. So it's not only about you carrying the brother or sister for the toddler, but it's also about general life and where other babies come from. And yeah, I really liked that. She does get a bit, not bored, but she doesn't understand a lot of the language in it, if you know what I mean. It's quite, not advanced, but yeah, it's a good one. It is really good. It's really interactive, but I'm not sure that she fully understands from this book, if you see what I'm saying, but it's a good one to have. So that's Where Do Babies Come From? The next book we got quite recently, it's called Billy Bear and the New Baby. So this one is really good and it covers some interesting topics. So Luca has had a new baby sister and he thinks she's lovely, but Billy thinks she cries a lot. How will Billy feel when he discovers he's going to become a big brother too? So there's lots of different scenarios, and like at one point they say, where is it? So Billy says to his mum, you can give her back now, mum, I don't mind. And Billy's mum says, we don't give babies back, Billy, we look after them forever. So it's just kind of like explaining that, you know, once babies come, they are in our lives forever, but we adapt to them, if you know what I mean. It's quite an old book. We picked this up. Someone was doing like a toy swap. So we picked it up. I'm not sure if you'd be able to find it now. You probably would, but it's good. We like it. It's about introducing a new baby into the family and how that might make us feel. So I can highly recommend. This last one is definitely a bit advanced for Juno, but she does like flicking through it. But it's basically How to Be a Baby by me, the big sister. So it's written, obviously, in the sister's point of view about the baby, talking to the baby and telling them how to do things, which I think is quite interesting. And I think she'll probably enjoy it a bit more once the baby is here and she's probably around 2, maybe a little bit older. But there's like kind of lists that you can read and telling them, you know, what songs to sing and that mummy and daddy have to dress you. and that when you grow up, you'll grow hair and like all of this stuff. So I think she will really like that as she grows up, and she can read it, or we can read it as a family. And yeah, I think that will be really nice. But yeah, I think books are really important. They just help, it's the repetitiveness of them when you read them like a few times, and they start to understand the language and all sorts of things. So that's why we decided to go for those books and make sure that Juno's kind of reading them regularly and enjoys them. She definitely does really enjoy all of those books, which is really nice. That quite nicely leads me on to the next one that we've been doing, which is we've been really trying to be aware of the language that we're using around her when it comes to the baby. So we're pretty sure that we've already named the baby. So we're using the baby's name. We're not 100% sure because obviously, we want to check once the baby arrives that it suits her and that is it. But we're pretty sure we've got her name. So we do use her name around Juno. We also quite often refer to her as the sister or baby sister. And those kind of three things is the kind of repetitive language that we're using. I think I read this online or someone recommended it to me to do. So in any kind of situation that we're in, whether she's kind of noticing my belly and touching it because it's getting quite big, or we're having a cuddle and she feels the baby move, or things like, recently we've been organising stuff. We've got the next to me crib in our room already. We've got the car seat in the car. So when she notices these things that are changing, we always say that's for baby sister. Or when baby sister arrives, she'll be sitting in that car seat. Or, baby sister is going to sleep in the next to me crib with mummy and daddy in mummy and daddy's room. So it's kind of, using that language. And then once the baby arrives, once baby sister is here, hopefully she will kind of make that connection, because she doesn't understand that there's a baby inside me that will be entering her world. But once the baby has entered her world, we're hoping, because we've used that language and kind of got it into her head, it won't be a shock. So she'll maybe make the connection and put two and two together and be like, oh, there was baby sister and this is baby sister. And I think it just, someone said to me, I think that it just makes the transition a bit easier for them, having that connection already with the language. She does say sister, and she does try and say the baby's name as well. So they're words that she uses, and they're part of her everyday life. So we're just going to continue to do that for the next few weeks until the baby arrives, and just really use the language and make it part of her vocabulary as well as like our vocabulary as a family. Another really big one that we have been doing is kind of role play whilst we've been playing games. So if your child isn't really into sort of baby dolls or doesn't have one, then I'd really recommend getting one. Juno was bought one for her first Christmas as a Christmas present from her auntie, and she fell in love with this baby. She still has it now, almost a year later, and she is still as obsessed. She plays with it, she feeds it, she does lovely, gorgeous things with this baby. So we thought we would try and play with her, with the baby, and teach her some things that she's going to see or hear. So obviously babies cry when they're hungry, babies cry when they're tired. So we've been trying to kind of show her that her baby will cry and we will comfort it. Mummy or daddy will comfort it. Mummy will feed it. If I can't breastfeed it this time around, then daddy might feed it. And we've just been playing games around kind of different scenarios that will come up. So we've taught her, which is quite a funny one, that we might burp a baby. So we kind of pat the baby on the back and the baby makes a burp noise, and she loves that one. She does that with her baby. I've shown her that mummy will carry the baby in a carrier, and she also loved that one and made me put the carrier on her. So she was walking around carrying the baby, stroking the baby's head. Another one that she did all on her own, and I think it's because of nursery rhymes and the Sleeping Bunnies nursery rhyme, is we pretend that the baby is sleeping and she shushes and strokes the baby, which is very sweet. And, we're just kind of practicing gentle hands around the baby and where we can touch the baby and where we maybe shouldn't touch the baby, which she doesn't understand, but that's fine. It's good to put the wheels in motion and just kind of get that in a little bit, I think, so that it's not a complete shock. That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to prevent it being a complete shock. I'm not too worried about how she will react to the baby. I think she'll be quite neutral, but also quite interested. I'm more worried, obviously, about how she's going to feel once the baby is here. But I think that's just everyone. But yeah, role play's been really good for us. Playing games with her with the baby. She really likes it. She loves feeding her baby. When her baby is crying, she gets the baby a dummy. All sorts of things. We played washing the baby games. We've played changing nappy games, getting the baby a new nappy, feeding the baby, which might be interesting. I do feel like I'm going to find this poor newborn with like biscuit around its mouth where Juno's tried to feed it. But, worse things have happened as long as they're having fun and they're safe. That's all that matters. So yeah, that's a really good one. And I'd really recommend doing that one. Get your child, even, boys like playing with babies too. Get your toddler a baby and just kind of play with them and explore different scenarios that are going to happen. Yeah, that's one that we really love doing and Juno really loves and probably is most engaged whilst, we're doing that with her. So I would really recommend that one. And then there's a couple of things that we are planning to do. So the first one is we are going to get Juno a present from the baby. So when Juno meets the baby for the first time, the baby will have bought her a present, which she's really into presents at the moment and like unwrapping presents, and she gets quite excited about it. So I think that will be quite a big thing for her, and her understanding, this little thing has got me this really cool present. I think she'll really like that. So that's something that we're going to do. Kind of linked in with that as well is when people meet the baby for the first time, we'll definitely ask them to greet Juno first. And if they're bringing the baby a present, could they maybe bring something small for her? Give Juno the present first, or let Juno unwrap the present for the baby maybe. I don't know. We'll kind of deal with that close to the time, but it's hard, obviously, because everyone's so desperate to see the newborn and so desperate for newborn cuddles. But obviously, Juno was here first and she knows these people more so than the baby knows them, obviously. So, yeah, don't want her to be sidelined, which I'm sure she wouldn't be. What was I saying? Sorry, the camera cut me off. So, yeah, we just want to kind of remind people that when they meet the baby for the first time, that obviously Juno was here first, to greet her first and try not to kind of fuss too much over the baby, because I think if anything's going to cause jealousy, is going to be that kind of situation. So yeah, we're going to just have to kind of tackle those things as they come. But yeah, that really nicely leads me on to the next one, which is something that we're going to try and do is take time as a family before we introduce the baby to anyone. We did this with Juno when Juno was born. I think we waited about a week or 10 days before anyone came over. And actually, it was the best thing that we did. We read it in a book and they just recommended it just so that everyone can kind of like get used to each other and you get to know this little baby. And it's such a special time. And, emotions are high and hormone levels are high and sleep levels are low, and it's just really nice to kind of just focus on the three of you, or in this case, the four of us, which is really important. And I think that will also be really important for Juno as well. She doesn't see a lot of people all the time. She's quite used to it just being the three of us, and we obviously want to prioritise her. So we will wait until she is ready and she has settled, and we have as well, and we're settled, and feeding's established and everything like that, and then we'll invite people to come and meet the baby. So if you haven't considered doing that, I would really recommend giving yourself a bit of time, not putting a time limit on it. Take as little or as much as you need. People might get upset, but at the end of the day, it's your family and your choice, and you're the one that's had the baby, and a few days isn't going to hurt anyone. So put yourself and your family first. And lastly, the thing that we're going to do is try and stick to Juno's routine as much as possible. Obviously, this isn't going to be possible in every scenario because we're going to have another baby, but it's things like the classes that she goes to, nursery, when she has her meals, her nap time, her bedtime, bath time, the books that we read, those things aren't going to change for her. So her little routine will stay the same, and we will just kind of weave the baby in and out of that, however much she wants the baby to be a part of it. If she wants the baby in the room whilst we're reading her books at bedtime, then we'll do that. If she doesn't, that's fine. If she wants to bath with the baby, she can, but if she doesn't want to, that's fine. So we're going to stick to her routine, follow her routine, and let her choose what she wants to do. And just go with the flow. But it's very exciting and we're looking so forward to it. We can't wait to have another daughter. We can't wait for Juno to have a sister, to watch them interacting and playing together in the future. It's just so special. But I think every parent with one obviously worries about the first one when they're going to have a second. It's natural. I do not worry at all about how I could love another baby more. I know I've got all of that love inside of me. My love for neither of them will change and I will love them the same. That doesn't bother me at all. All I worry about is how Juno will feel, but I will try my absolute hardest, and I know my partner Phil will as well, to accommodate all of her needs and just be aware of the different behaviours that we might see around the baby. And, you know, we've done quite a bit of reading and research on how she might respond and different ways that she might respond, kind of positive and negative. It doesn't matter. We'll just deal with it in the moment. But the most important thing to us is that she's okay. And the baby, of course. So yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this video on how we're preparing our toddler for her little sister's arrival. I'll see you next week for my weekly upload. Lots of love. Bye.